Hey, everybody, how you doing? Yep, that was a hockey game. My name is Bill Matz. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. We are in the Xfinity studio, and joining me here, it is Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. No overtime, Chuck. That was nice.
There is that. You know, this is one of those moments, watching this game because, I've talked about how I'm not the fan that I grew up as. This isn't necessarily the kind of game that I'm going to be sitting there as frustrated as a fan is, because I don't watch the game in that way. This was a game that was so painful just because it was such an objectively horrible hockey game to watch. Like, I don't care who you were rooting for, even if you're rooting for the Lightning. Like, yeah, you're happy your team won, but you didn't enjoy those 2.5 hours. It was just a bad hockey game.
Charlie, not even when they played all the small things could they, not even Blink-182 could wake that crowd up tonight. It was a freaking library in Tampa Bay. It was not a good game. I mean, when the Flyers lead the game in shots on goal, it was probably low event. 20-18, they win the shot battle. I will say, while it is a frustrating game to just watch, like, score a goal, like it's that easy against Andrei Vasilevskiy, one of the best goaltenders ever. You look at this, I do have to, while the Flyers weren't, like, good tonight. It's not like, they got goal lead or something like that. They weren't good.
No, they weren't.
You do have to kind of sometimes just tip your cap to Tampa Bay. Yes, they are missing some guys. They do have some injuries. They're still really, really good. This is their 4th win in a row. They're leading that division. They're a Stanley Cup contender. They are not the juggernaut they once were, but they are still very much one of the premier teams in the Eastern Conference. And when I watch the way they defend tonight, just absolutely no time and space. You and I were saying it. Bush and JJ are like, it looks like they can make a play, and then there's 2 sticks in the lane and nothing you can do. They're good. They're well coached. They have a ton of talent. And then if you do somehow break through the defense, there's Andrei Vasilevskiy, who's just like, nope. And that's pretty much the way it went. You're not beating him with a clean shot 9 times out of 10, I guess, more than that, because that would just be an average save percentage. But 94 times out of 100, basically. I do have to kind of give this one to Tampa. They watched the Flyers play, some wide open hockey against the Devils the other night, and they're like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're just gonna grind you into dust.
I'm fascinated that I'm gonna come away more critical of the Flyers than you are, because to me, and look, after I get done saying what I'm gonna say, I will then give Tampa Bay their props, because you're right. Yeah. They did what they had to do. I'll get to that in a second. But the Flyers did not play this game with enough energy.
No, they weren't good.
They didn't. It's not even not being good. Like, it would be one thing if it was just like, yeah, they're just a bad team. Like, are they an elite team? No. Are they a cup contender? No, of course not. But they're not this bad.
No.
They have players, and I don't even think a lot of these guys were the worst offenders, but they have guys like Zegras and Michkov and Konecny we'll get to. But they have guys who can tip it when he's playing his best, who can put the team on his back and make plays and just create a goal. It's not 4 years ago where their best player was what was left of Claude Giroux, who had 1 foot out the door because he knew he was gone. Like, it's not that. They have talent. They did not play with enough energy. They did not play with enough purpose in this game. And Rick Tocchet has every right to rake them over the coals after this one, because I'm sorry, you're playing well. This is the first game of a 4-game road trip, and you want to put your best foot forward. And instead, there were stretches. There were 5-6 minute stretches where they played with some jump, but those were stretches. Those were the aberrations in this game. You need it more. You need it more. And look, if they would have taken 30, 32 shots, and Vasilevskiy stands on his head, you know what? Andrei Vasilevskiy's a great goalie. That's the kind of game where I can be like, yeah, you tip your cap. Vasilevskiy's a Hall of Famer. He's awesome. They're a well-coached team. I can accept that. This was not a loss that I can just be like, nah, Tampa's just better. They are, but I can't accept that because the Flyers had so much more they could have given in this game.
I believe that to be true, and the coach should absolutely not hold back on them. Because this is, to me, how I have said this season, the inconsistency is very much a part of the learning process.
That is true.
This
It
year.
is. It is.
They are figuring out how to win. And it's not like, well, we got to figure out how to win in the Eastern Conference Final. No, you need to figure out how to bring your A game 2 games in a row. Like, that is something they have to learn to do. And that is, to me, one of the reasons they are doing the rebuild the way they're doing. Like, we were screaming about it, in pregame, how some people just can't let the idea go. And you and I were both very much like, yeah, 2-3 years ago, they absolutely should have traded Travis Konecny. But guess what? That's not the way it went, and here we are. So they're going to do it this way. And I think the idea of doing it this way is because this is what happens with young teams. You know that development isn't linear. Night-to-night consistency is one of the hardest things to accomplish. And what does every coach say? What does this guy got to do to take his game to the next level? He's got to get consistent. That's what this team is right now. They have to find that baseline of what they were and like the compete that they had under John Tortorella, mix it with the new skill that they have and the development of some young guys, and then figure out how to do that, 3 out of every 4 instead of 1 out of every 4.
Yeah, that's fair. And this is where
But they sucked tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they brought their A game and Tampa just killed them. I think it was like a game between 2 teams who played at a C level, and that's what happened.
Okay, yeah. And I'll give Tampa their props now because I think that the broadcast did a good job, because this is exactly what I noticed watching the game. The broadcast did a good job of articulating, emphasizing, pointing out just how little space the Lightning were giving the Flyers. And they pointed out going into the game, we talked about it in our pregame, Tampa was not playing at full strength.
No.
They don't have Hedman. They don't have McDonough. They didn't have Chernak. They didn't have Point. They are not playing at full strength. So what can a team like Tampa do when they don't have all their horses? Well, they can just be like, let's just play this like a playoff game. Let's play this like a playoff game where we're going to give them no space at all, and we're going to make them beat us by just being the tight defensive team that we'll play this like it's a May game, and it's like, yep, we're trying to close out a series. And to their credit, they have the talent and they have the discipline and they have the coaching that they can do that. And props to Tampa. They played this was, in all honesty, this was a perfect road game for Tampa.
Yeah, that was road hockey.
They played a perfect road game. They created just enough, and they have Nikita Kucherov and Hagel, and the Flyers have some really good players too, but those guys were not able to do what guys like Kucherov and Hagel were able to do on their shifts. They created goals. The Flyers didn't. Also, Tampa has a better goalie in net versus the Flyers, who we'll get to Ersson, but dramatic advantage. Even if you are I wouldn't say I'm a Sam Ersson truther, but I am a Sam Ersson. I don't think he's the actual worst goalie in existence.
The Ersson Pearsons in the chat
Andrei
would agree.
Vasilevskiy is way better than Sam Ersson.
Andrei Vasilevskiy is better. Yes, come on. This is. If you thought he was the second best goalie in the league, you probably think Vasilevsky's first.
Exactly,
he's got at least a shot at that crown. And that is the type of game talking about what this team does not have experience with. Yeah, man, Matvei Michkov, Trevor Zegras, Owen Tippett, these guys have never played a May game. They have no freaking idea how to overcome that, and they just, on top of having not their best stuff tonight, that's the way it went. So they get shutouts. The first time they were shut out this season, Vasilevskiy, we'll get to him. But right now we got to talk about the other goalie because it is time for the Unsung Hero presented by Togo. Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You hold the reins, we pull the sled. Togo, listen, every champion needs an unsung hero, and even on nights the Flyers lose, I want to point out someone whose effort I appreciated, and tonight it is the effort of Sam Ersson. He's had a rough season, numbers-wise. Tonight, it's another one of those. Yeah, his numbers aren't going to be good because they only gave up 17 shots. Yeah. And so it's an .882, which will raise his save percentage a little bit, coming in at .844 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Yeah. I think this is a classic when you talk about better than the numbers game. They were never going to win this game 0-0. No. That's as poorly as the team played in front of him, he could have had his absolute best stuff. They were going to lose. Maybe they could have won in a shootout if it actually was 0-0 after 65 minutes because he is awesome at that. But They have Nikita Kucherov, so maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
I got to give it to Sam. I know pregame I was rough on Sam. I've been back and forth. Like, I know he's better than his numbers, but at a certain point, the results are the results. This was a true, it's a tough luck loss.
Yeah, I mean, my view of this one, and I talked about it in pregame, I thought that before the Blues game, Ersson was legitimately having a better than his number season. Then the Blues game, and he does play well in the overtime, the shootout, but in regulation, that was he was just bad. And he even admitted it. You know, he didn't admit it directly to me, but I was talking to Travis Konecny, you know, for my article that I did, and he basically said that, Ersson said to me, like, I didn't play very well in this game. So he knew. He didn't play well in that game, and that torpedoed his advanced metrics. This game was back to kind of most of what we had seen in my mind in the first 5 games, where, 882, that's not a save percentage any goalie's going to like.
No.
It's a below league average save percentage. It's not going to make his save percentage for the season look good. It's not going to help him. But he faced, I don't know what Evolving Hockey says. I know Natural Statric says this. He faced more than 2 expected goals in this game, and he gave up 2 goals. So by the advanced metrics, he actually did an above average job. And I think that, even if you hate Sam Ersson, find it in yourself to look at it as objectively as possible and tell me with a straight face that, he had a bad game tonight. You can't.
No, he was
fine.
Absolutely acceptable in net, and that is what makes him tonight's unsung hero, presented by Togo. Togo, you hold the reins, they pull the sled. I really like that. I really like that tagline. That's Ers was he did everything you could have asked tonight. That team in front of him was not winning. And in the third period when he's still making odd man rush saves, I got to give it to him. I got to give him at least
and it wasn't,
the effort.
I'm not going to say that Sam Ersson was incredible in this game. He was fine. He looked like a quality NHL backup, and a quality NHL backup is not going to steal you a game like this when you create essentially nothing.
No. If he plays to that level, he can maybe get his season back on track.
I agree with that.
The way he played, more so than the numbers or anything.
I agree with that.
Maybe it wasn't his A game, but he was as good as you could expect.
It was a solid B game.
Yeah, he was as good as anyone on the Flyers tonight, I'll tell you that. He was their best player.
That's fair.
All right. With that, on the other side, we're going to talk a little bit more about that fourth line conversation we were having. We're going to talk about Emil Andrae, the lack of offense once again. But first, I got to tell you about Bet 365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. No OT tonight, so that pregame pick did not pay off. Listen, it was Ersson net. I'm a little surprised it didn't pay off, but when they score 0 goals, that's what happens. But I got to tell you about that NHL early payout offer. You would have had to wait a lot longer had you bet Tampa tonight than you would have if you bet the Flyers on Saturday. But you're a winner if your team gains a 3-goal lead. You get an instant payout on straight bets, and parlay selections are marked as winners at Bet365. It's one of my favorite features of Bet365, from whom we have breaking news. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Win or lose, sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and in PA. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And now, Flyers fans, you know who's playing championship-level Black Friday deals every single day. It's Elkin Chevrolet, located on Route 73 South in Marlton, New Jersey, and it's run by 3 bros, Jason, Adam, and Josh. These guys are in the store every day working to make sure they have a huge lineup of Chevys at the best price while providing honking good service. So if you're in the market for a new Chevy, make your next move to Elkin Chevrolet. Real brothers, real deals, and a whole lot of that honking good service. Shop now at elkinchevrolet.com. Together, let's drive. All right, Charlie. Where do we want to go now? So let's talk about Andrae, because I feel like you were really interested in talking about Emil Andrae tonight.
Well, because I am notably a Emil Andrae supporter. I like him a lot as a prospect and as a player. I think he should have made this team out of camp, and I'm glad that he's being used high in the lineup. That said, this was not a good game by Emil Andrae tonight.
No, it didn't feel like it, and that's the part of me is when the young guys play poorly. It's hard for me to put it on any of the young players when guys Travis Konecny or Travis Sanheim don't have good games. Like, I don't know, you're kind of in charge. Like, this is kind of, you need to lead them through this because you guys and Coots, like, more experience than anyone. If you don't have it, I don't know how they're supposed to. But we are looking at Emil Andrae as an up-and-coming player who we are hoping could be a part of this team's future. He, like many young players, is looking for that consistency. Rough night out there. Rough night out there for the guy who looks just like Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he didn't do some good things.
Yeah.
He made some plays with the puck. He had some chances where he jumped into play in the offensive zone. Like, he was involved. It's not as if he was passive and invisible. But the big concern with Emil Andrae, and we're going to talk about it ad nauseum because it is the primary narrative around Emil Andrae, is his size, that he's small. And on that first goal with Brandon Hagel, you saw the drawbacks of being that small of a defenseman. Brandon Hagel gets the puck in the zone, goes right to the net. Andre's the defenseman who's got that area. And Hagel just completely wins the battle in front of the net, completely outmuscles him, gets position. And then not only does he set a great screen, like that puck, I don't know if that puck goes in anyway, but like Ersson couldn't see it. No. Hagel's completely taking away the line of sight because Hagel has completely won that net front battle with Emil Andrae. And then also he deflects the puck past Ersson to just make sure that there's no way that's not going to be anything other than a goal. That's just Andrae needing to learn how to overcome the fact that he is a small defenseman. And on that play, you saw the oh, right, he has to work twice as hard in those situations because he's 5'8".
And we've seen him a couple of times recently use his lack of height really to his advantage by getting the leverage, going up and underneath to use his weight to move guys that way. And this is one of those times where you just got beat.
Yeah,
you got beat in a physical battle, and that's going to happen. Guys like him, to me, that is always going to be part of that. Like, yeah, they can get better, but it's never going to be their strength.
Sure.
But they need to provide enough other value. You need to provide enough offense. You need to make every breakout pass. You need all the other stuff to be in line of a top 4, top 6 defenseman, whatever he ends up being in this league. All that has to be there so that when you do have the occasional, yeah, he just got ragdolled in front. What are you going to do? It's just, yeah, but I don't know. He just made 5 plays before that.
Yeah.
There just kind of has to be a balance.
It's like the Erik Karlsson effect.
Yes, exactly. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be times he just loses a physical battle. That's physics. Like that. He's little, like Chip Kelly. Big people beat up little people. That's just kind of the way it goes. He's going to get moved, but he needs to do all the other stuff, and he can just get bigger and stronger.
And he will. I'm sure he will. And that wasn't the only play that he messed up. No. Then on the second goal, and this is a little bit more like the first goal, you could make that justification. You'd be like, all right, you know what? He's going to get out-muscled sometimes. Hopefully he'll get it so it doesn't happen that often. But it's just the reality of being a smallish defenseman. That's going to happen, a couple times a year, and you just accept it. On the second goal, he's not an elite skater, but he's a good skater. He's got good lateral mobility. He's got good backward skating ability. He's got a good stick. He can be aggressive in that way. He plays that 3-on-2 totally wrong. He goes down to try to block the pass shot way too early, ends up sliding backwards, and just gives the Tampa players all the room they need to make that play. That's a play where, I know that Andre's never going to be great in front of the net. I hope he can get to the point where he's going to be great in rush coverage, and he flubbed that one.
And that's something we saw them do well against the Devils. That pair specifically looked good against rush coverage. So it's just, man, I hate the slide personally. I get it. When we were younger and obviously well before that, that's what defensemen were taught. But even if you do it well, even if you time it well, here's the thing. The sticks are not wood anymore. Everyone can sauce the puck. Everyone can flip it up over you. Yeah. You are choosing to defend nobody 9 times out of 10 when you do that slide. And we talk about how this team backs up a little too much sometimes. That was a big problem in the first period, I thought. They were just doing that McDonald defense again that plagued us for so long. That's another thing that drives me nuts is that Andrew McDonald used to do is odd man rush, I'm going to lay on the ice. Well, now you're defending nobody. But he just mistimed that slide, and it almost looked like, I forget who had the puck. Was it Hagel or did Hagel score? But he's just Oh, what the? Where? Okay, so you just slid away from me, cool, and just fed the dude on the back door. Like, okay, yeah, that was almost too easy.
Yeah, I believe that was Cirelli's goal.
It was Cirelli's goal that Hagel fed him. Okay, yeah, that's what it was, and it was bad. It was a rough game all around. But those are a couple defensive plays where you go, yeah, this wasn't just about like not having the jump or anything. This was making the wrong play.
Yeah, and what I will say, and again, I say this as someone who does believe in Emil Andrae. I believe he can be a quality NHL defenseman long-term in this league, maybe even a top 4 defenseman in this league long-term. This is why he has to play in the NHL.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy who has mastered the AHL. You know, is he going to be a perfect AHL player? No, because like he's not an elite NHL player, so he's not going to never make a mistake in the AHL. But he's going to score at like nearly a point per game pace and control play and just be awesome because he's better than the AHL at this point. His continuing education, like what he needs to learn, has to happen at the NHL level. And tonight, he got more education. This was like, oh, these are the things I'm not that great at. These are the mistakes I need to fix. This is what I need to work on. And that's a good thing for the long term. In the short term, though, Flyers trying to make the playoffs, and you're going to have to deal with these types of games from a guy like Andrae, where his issues, the fact that he's not an experienced NHL defenseman, the fact that he's still kind of trying to learn on the fly here, they might cost you a goal or two in a game where you really can't afford to just give up a goal or two because your offense can't do much of anything. It doesn't make me out on Emil Andrae. It's just, I want to articulate it because it's like, if you want the kids to play, and if you want the Flyers to play Emil Andrae and give him minutes, if you want them to play Nikita Grabenkin, if you want them to call up Alex Bump, these types of games are going to happen, and you have to point out the mistakes. You can't be like, well, he's a young player, so it's no big deal. We're only going to yell at the players that we don't like.
Yeah,
like you have to point them out because they're real, and you have to hold the guys accountable. But this is part of the, as you said, part of the inconsistencies of being a young team. Andre's going to make mistakes. He made some mistakes tonight. Hopefully, the next time, in January when he faces a player like Hagel who goes to the net in that way, he does a better job because he learned from this play. Hopefully.
What did you think of the Coots-Michkov-Brink line tonight, Charlie?
Not great, Bob.
They give up the 2 goals. I've been like hot and cold on them as a trio. Just like, I get the idea, but I don't know if it works as well in practice as it does in my head. What have you thought of them overall together? And is there something else that can get this offense going? And we're going to take that into the 4th line conversation in a minute.
I mean, it's tough to say because they had a bunch of goals in the last game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to bury them and be like, their offense just stinks. I mean, I don't know. They scored 3 goals in 26 seconds in 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make this into like you got to change everything. The offense is stagnant. Like 2 days ago, it wasn't stagnant. It was the opposite of stagnant. But I don't love that line. I just, what I was hoping was that maybe, we know that Brink has gotten better at skating, then maybe he could be the primary puck carrier on that line because Couturier's never been a great skater. Michkov does look quicker. You can tell that he's definitely working himself into the kind of fitness that he can have that burst again, which is awesome. But I don't think, at least at this stage of his career, he's ever going to be the main entry driver. So I was like, let's see if Brink can do it now that he's picked up another half step of speed. I just don't get the sense he seems that comfortable being that guy. He doesn't seem that comfortable being the guy who's driving the play through the neutral zone. And on that line, he kind of has to be. And I just feel like it's missing something.
When he gets the puck down low, he's comfortable holding it. It looks
absolutely.
like we've seen that plenty.
Yeah.
He's even, I think, gotten better getting the initial pass on the breakout, but it's then maybe like a give and go, or it's a dump in and he chases it down in the corner. That neutral zone area is where he seems to be the least comfortable with the puck on his stick, at least for any amount of time. I know the offense the other night, but when I look at the season as a whole, it's, they haven't scored much. And it was kind of an aberration. And that brings me to the 4th line. And again, when the top 9 don't score at all, when they get shut out, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, Rodrigo Abels is the problem, Charlie. I don't know, man. TK needs to put the puck in the net. And we'll get to that. But when I think about the things Rick Tocchet could do to maybe bring a little more punch on a nightly basis. That's funny use of punch, because we're talking about taking out D'Lo and
the primary thing he does.
putting in Grabenkin. I have a new idea.
Okay.
What if D'Lo stays in and Garnet Hathaway comes out?
Honestly, and I like Garnet Hathaway a lot. I've enjoyed watching him play.
I'm
the
a big
previous
fan.
2 seasons. He has. Let me clarify. In terms of bringing energy, in terms of hits, in terms of stirring the pot, that's all been there. He's still doing that. Now, he didn't do that tonight, but most nights he's been doing that. He's looked like Garnet Hathaway in that sense. It's like when they get the puck past the blue line, there's nothing.
He's lost.
And look, he's never been a top scorer, but he's brought more than this. And tonight, like, this was a game where he wasn't stirring the pot and he wasn't doing anything with the puck.
And that's what they needed.
This was a game where I was kind of like, we've talked about this, where, games with, like, I think Cam York, this was something you pointed out last year, where there were too many games where you were like, did he even play? This was a game where I was like, did Garnet Hathaway even play? Like, say what you will about D'Lo, I remember he played.
Did what he could.
He fought the 6'9" guy.
No, listen, the fourth line in a game like this, like, I can't yell at them for not scoring when the top 9 don't score. Like, that's their job. The fourth line is out there, like Rick Tocchet said, to keep even while the other guys rest. Like, Rick Tocchet said that like a week ago. But D'Lo did the thing he was supposed to do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, reading the lips, like, after that fight, he turned to the bench and yelled, "Wake up."
They didn't.
No, he's 6'1". He fought a guy 8 inches bigger than him and landed the decisive blow of the fight.
Yeah.
Did real well for himself. Nic Deslauriers did his job tonight in a night where the team, like we said at the top, were they good? No. But the bigger problem is they just didn't have it tonight. Yeah. That's Garnet Hathaway. You know who has experience in those types of games? You know who, like, is the ideal, like, oh yeah, man, you know who if we could get him for like a mid-round pick at the deadline, just a nice little depth player, fourth line, be physical in the playoffs. Like, every GM in the league would want to add the idea of Garnet Hathaway to their lineup. And tonight they needed that, and it was non-existent.
No, I'm looking at his stat line. Okay, obviously 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, but 0 shot attempts. So doesn't take a shot. No rebounds, no penalty minutes. He does have 4 hits. So 4 hits, that is the only, and 1 shot block. Those are the only things in his stat line. I don't remember any of the hits being especially imposing, especially memorable. I think my frustration with Garnet Hathaway is they're paying him to be the reason why the fourth line is above average.
Yeah.
That's why he's getting more than your average fourth liner. And I think for the previous 2 seasons, he's done that. They've had an above average fourth line in no small part because they had Garnet Hathaway. And Garnet Hathaway is a clear-cut above average fourth liner. This year, he has looked like a below average fourth liner. And it's because I think highly of his talent level that explains why I'm so disappointed in him. Because, like, I can't get disappointed that Nic Deslauriers isn't scoring and isn't driving play. That's not his job. His job is to fight and bring energy, and everybody knows it. Garnet Hathaway's job is to be the guy who elevates the fourth line, and he hasn't been doing his job well this year. If they wanted to sit him for a game, I'd have no issue with it.
Yeah, and I just want to figure out a way to get Nikita Grabenkin or anybody in there who might be able to spark this offense. Whether it's the idea of calling up Alex Bump or it's Lane Peterson or whoever from this team. The guy we called up, Carl Grundstrom. Like, if it's somebody in the AHL who might be able to pot a goal, because this team, they don't have enough offense in their top 9 to get 0 out of the fourth line, and that's what they've got so far. Yeah. You need to get a little. It can't be nothing. It's not their job to score, but sometimes you got to do something that isn't just your primary role. You know, like, it just has to happen, and it hasn't to this point. But there's other things we can talk about. We're going to talk about TK on the other side. We're going to give you the game changer as well. But right now, got to tell you about Xfinity. Now more than ever, the ultimate sports destination, it's our friends at Xfinity. That's right, we're coming to you live from the Xfinity studio. And have you noticed, connection, pretty damn good. No lagging, no buffering, And when you're trying to find all the best teams and all your favorite games all in the same place, it's the exact same thing with Xfinity, and their enhanced 4K picture and sound is so clear when you're watching sports, it's like you're in the arena, and you can get up to 4 games going at once with the multi-view, because if you can go quad box, why wouldn't you go quad box? On top of that, you get real-time stats and notifications right on your television, so you can keep up with all your fantasy teams. Next game day, make sure you're really a big fan and not a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. Now it's time to tell you about Crooked Tea, because everybody's got their favorite hard tea. It's the cool thing right now. But have you ever turned your hard tea of choice around to read what's in the can? Well, most of the time you can't, because others hide what's inside, and that's what makes Crooked Tea different. They brag about it, because Crooked Tea brews real USDA organic tea for real flavor with 0 sugar. There's no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So next time you're at the store, flip the can. If you can't find the ingredients, just put it back and grab yourself a Crooked Tea. 0 sugar, real tea, fully transparent. Philly recognizes real. Why drink the fake stuff? Crooked Tea, the only thing better? Strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find a store near you.
All right, before we kick this off again, we have over 200 people watching. We have 35 likes. I know the game was bad. I know you don't want to say you're liking the Flyers, but you're watching the show. So clearly you like us. So hit that like button. Let's get to at least 100.
The like button is a dislike for the game.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing. You ever see that?
We're not coming out here being like, no, they actually played great.
No, we're just as mad too. Listen, we got to talk for an hour about a game in which nothing happened. I'm like, oh, can we get another ad break or something today? But listen, let's hit tonight's game changer, driven by Elkin Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. I try to make these segments as Flyers forward as I can, but I got to go with Andrei Vasilevskiy tonight, Charlie. Tampa was better. I wouldn't say, Hagel had the 3 points, couple of assists for Kucherov, but Andrei Vasilevskiy, once the Flyers finally break through the suffocation that was trying to make a play in the offensive zone, whenever on the few occasions they did, there's Andrei Vasilevskiy. He's now 16-4-1 with 6 shutouts against the Flyers. And I have to believe stopping every shot tonight will raise his career .933 save percentage against us. He shut the Flyers out back on St. Patty's Day last season. So he hasn't allowed a goal since November 7th, 2024 to the Flyers.
Wow.
It was a third period Owen Tippett goal that tied the game, and then the Flyers won in a shootout. I have to assume Sam Ersson was on the other side.
I think I covered that game. That was the Tampa game, the game they played in Tampa. If I remember correctly, I believe that was an Ivan Fedotov game.
And it was
the first time that Fedotov had a good game that season.
That sounds familiar.
He outdueled his countryman in the shootout.
I remember that now.
So I covered that game in person.
Yes, I very much remember that. But that is tonight's game changer, driven by Elkin Chevrolet. It's got to be Vasilevskiy. You earn a shutout, you get a sponsored segment, even if you don't wear orange and black. TK, Charlie.
Yeah, this is an interesting
People are mad.
Yeah, people are real mad at Trump.
People are mad at and this is always like, I don't want, because I want. Matvei Michkov Mania t-shirt on right now. I get why fans feel this way. Wow, TK's misplaying the puck more than Michkov ever could. How come his ice time doesn't change? And that's no coach is going to do that to a veteran over a young guy. That's just kind of how it is.
Especially a veteran who has been the team's top scorer for 3-4 seasons.
But at the same time, we always talk about that money in the bank. This is Tocchet's first year. He doesn't know any of these guys. I guess he coached TK for a couple of weeks
he knew TK
at Four Nations last year, but that's it. It's not. I know the points are basically there. He's racking up assists. He hasn't looked like TK all year, outside of a few shifts, a few periods. He has not looked like that same guy to me, and I feel like people are finally just yikes with him right now.
It's interesting, and I tweeted this out during the game. He has 17 points in 21 games.
Yes.
Now, is that great? No, especially for what he's getting paid, but it's pretty close to what you would expect. It's probably, I haven't worked out the exact numbers, but I think 17 and 20 was something like, a 68, 69, 70 point pace. So he's probably a little bit below that now, probably something like 65, 66, 67, now that he went another game without a point. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible for an 82 game pace. It's around, like, you're giving him what they gave him, you're probably expecting closer to a point per game. But like, if Travis Konecny were to finish the season with between 75 and 80 points, you'd be like, yeah, that's fair. For what he's being paid, that's fair. It's not the points. The production is mostly there.
Yeah.
It's how he's looked. It's entirely the eye test. The eye test has been brutal this year watching Travis Konecny. I mean, I made the joke after, in the middle of Saturday's game that, like, the new emerging rivalry is Travis Konecny versus empty nets. He missed empty nets in 2 consecutive games, and he's been flubbing pucks. He's been missing on opportunities. Like, by the eye test, Konecny has been poor. That's undeniable. He looks like a guy who you need more from, even if the production is pretty close to what you expect from him.
Yeah, like if it's a couple of more goals, you look at the stat line and just go, yeah, great.
That's CK.
But you watch him play, and it just hasn't looked right. Basically all year, Charlie. There have been games where I can't even remember what game it was, but they're just starting to get something going, and all of a sudden he lays a hit in the corner, digs a puck out, and then from there, like, they played really well. Stuff like that. But TK, it's funny when you talk about eye test because he's such an eye test guy.
Oh, yeah, such an eye test.
You're like, all right, he's not quite, he's just around.
He's doing stuff.
We look at him and round up. We're like, well, he's basically a point-a-game player, But he does other things, and it's so much about the energy, just so much about the attitude he brings, and we just haven't seen it that much this year. Now, in terms of the goal scoring and the level of production in that regard, do you think, because I'm looking at him and I'm looking at Matvei Michkov, the two guys we are probably most disappointed in terms of offensive production, especially goal scoring, the switch of the offense from a rush-based offense where those two were excellent, that's their thing, to what they're doing now, possessing the puck, trying to get more high-quality shots, more dump and chase. Do you think that's curtailed it a bit, or is there more?
I'm sure a little. I'm sure a little bit because, yeah, Konecny is a very, very good rush player. But to me, the problem with the eye test, like, it would be one thing if Konecny just wasn't involved and he wasn't involved in plays in the offense zone, wasn't involved in dangerous sequences. The thing that is infuriating people the most about Konecny is that he is involved.
He's there.
He's there. He's in position. He's ready to create something, and then he just makes the wrong decision or he flubs the puck. You saw the one play tonight where he's got the puck. There's like an open play. He gets the puck and he like tries to do like a weird maneuver with the puck to maybe like do another pass to go back door and then just ends up losing it. And those are the kinds of plays that are going to stick in fans' heads because they just seem so inexplicable.
And that's the you see tonight the 2 shots on goal, -1 for TK. I think it was the empty net goal that he was out there for. The thing with TK is while he's an offensive producing player, I don't think of him as obviously down at Trevor Zegras level puck handler. There aren't 20 guys in the league who can do what he does.
Sure.
But he is not that guy.
No, he's not.
Puck on his stick, playmaking, vision. I feel like he's just, and this is the dumbest, easiest cliche, I just feel like he's trying to do too much. Like, grip it and rip it, bro. That's your thing. Like, just fire a wrist shot in between the glove and the pad and see if you can beat the goalie like you have over 100 times in your career.
So here's a question I have for you. And this is, I try to avoid doing this because I don't love to play armchair psychiatrist. Like, I just don't enjoy it. However, do you think that some of this is connected to him trying too hard because of the Team Canada thing?
I hope so. I don't like the alternative. The alternative is scary. This is, all right, like you'd rather him just like play his game, let the game come to him, and then if you get picked, you get picked because you earned it, because you are who you are.
But he knows he's on the bubble.
He's on the bubble. He is very much on the bubble. He went to 4 Nations. It felt like he was going to get some run. Wasn't all that impressive. Suddenly, he's the guy in the press box. And listen, we're talking about Connor Bedard, Macklin Celebrini, all these up-and-coming, really freaking good star-level young players who are going to, in all likelihood, especially with what we're getting right now, push him out. maybe he's trying to score a hat trick on one shot every time. I hope that's the case. Because the alternative is, 6-7 more years of this. Don't love it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued if, let's say in like February or March, when he probably isn't, because I assume at this point he's probably not making the team.
Or if they just tell him in December,
sorry, you're not on the team.
We've made the roster. If we have 6 injuries, maybe, but.
Yeah. I just wonder if we're gonna have an interview with him in January where he's scoring again in his normal pacing. He's gonna be like, "Yeah, I was in my head too much," because he admitted that at the end of the season, where we asked him well, why do you think you slowed down a little bit, in the second half? You weren't scoring many goals. You slowed down a little bit offensively, and he said, maybe I emptied the tank a little bit too much in the first half because I was trying so hard to make an impression on Team Canada. So he's admitted that it matters a lot to him, that it's something that may have impacted his play last year in a good way. I just wonder if this year it's impacting his play in a bad way.
Like last year, he's pushing, and that's kind of. I also wonder. Listen, I've always referred to it as Kyle Calder syndrome. I don't think TK is like an actually bad player who just happened to score for a bad team.
No, he's a legitimately good player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen it. I do wonder if it's like, we're not expected to win every night. If I cheat a little, but score 4 more goals this season because of it, no one's gonna care because we're not expected to win, and now he just straight up can't. I wonder if that's affecting it a little bit. I am trying to do the same thing. What is the reason? Because I know he's better than he's playing right now. Yeah, or at least I pray he is.
And I guess again, and this is why I want to go back to the point totals.
Yeah,
it's not that he's been awful. And I do, some of the discourse I see on Twitter, some of the discourse I see even in our chat is acting like Travis Konecny has been absolute garbage, trash, fire him into the sun. He hasn't been terrible. It's just that he hasn't been as good as he can be.
Yes. And to me, that goes back to, like you said, the second half of last season. Yeah, he racked up a ton of assists, and he put up 50 assists last year. And there haven't been a lot of Flyers, especially since the lockout, who've put out a 50-plus assist season. That's impressive. TK is a goal scorer. He turned himself into a 30-goal scorer 2 years in a row, and last year had 4 goals in the final 41 games of the season. For a while, I was like, I don't know, is he banged up? We saw him go in. I think it was game 41 where he scored his 2 goals against Toronto to be on the 40-goal pace. Right. And I think he went shoulder first into the boards in that game, and for a few weeks I was like,
you thought he might
is he hurt? And I kept asking you, and you're like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. He's not. If he is, they're doing a great job of hiding it. Yeah. He's not claiming to be hurt. I don't see him getting treatment. He's not injured. The goal scoring is what really stood out the previous few seasons and the first half of last year. And the fact that is kind of just dried up almost out of nowhere is very weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd.
The point total's the point total.
It is odd.
And I guess if you're contributing to goals either way,
and you
but
can't,
someone has to score them.
I see this guy in our chat. He's convinced that none of the points that Travis Konecny scored were actually him. Go back and watch the goal he set up for Travis Sanheim in overtime 5 days ago. That was a great play by Travis Konecny. I got news for you. He is making plays. Go back and watch the tape.
It's just odd to see he's making plays and then flubbing so many as well.
Yes, exactly.
If it was just Garnett Hathaway out there,
that would be one thing.
Yeah, all right, man, I didn't expect you to
He is making plays, but you're right. He's flubbing a lot too, and that's sticking in people's heads. Understandably.
I expect someone on the fourth line to just chip and chase.
Yeah.
And half the time TK makes it, and the other half it's I don't know, man. I guess dump it in because I don't know what you're doing out there. I've seen him do it a ton of times. It's just not happening right now.
Yeah.
And now we're at that 21. It's Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving is the time where everyone looks around and goes, what you are is kind of what you are.
Or at least what you've been. You can no longer just be small sample. It's really not that small of a sample. We're at the 25% mark of the season, the quarter pole.
Now you look around and go, yeah, this is kind of the season you're having.
Yeah, you're not having a great year.
And that's what it just looks like with TK right now. All right, on the other side, we still have to hit 3 stars. We got to get all your super chats in as well. But it's time to talk about Togo. Listen, we do not want TK in the net playing goalie. That would be ridiculous, right? We also don't want Jalen Hurts returning punts, although, I don't know, is it that bad of an idea? Yes, it is. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the money. You want to keep your stars focused on what they do best, and the same goes for your business. You don't want your top people buried in operations, the tedious, time-consuming, redundant activities that wear the team down. You got to keep your impact players fresh so they can focus on putting points on the board, because that's what it's all about, and that's where Togo comes in. They're an integrated part of your team. They take that work off your starters' plates so that they can all focus on what really moves the business forward, and every engagement starts with free process mapping and engineering. There's no cost, no commitment. They don't bill a dime until the real work begins. And with programs starting as low as $1,000 a month, you're not going to break the bank. Each Togo program includes dedicated staff, custom automations, and US-based processing engineers who act as your quarterback, giving you complete control, total transparency, and instant efficiency. At Togo, turning your playbook into performance. You call the plays, we execute your way, and we advise along the journey. Visit harnesstogo.com. Scale smarter, work faster, and stay focused on winning with Togo. I just love saying that. All right, and now I have to tell you about going to Anaheim, baby.
Yeah.
That's right. We're going to Anaheim March 17th to the 22nd. Go to allphly.com/events to book right now. This trip is going to be fantastic, and the Ducks, they're pretty damn good. I want to see Trevor Zegras making his return. I want to see the Flyers Flying V, that's fun. The Flyers Ducks for yet another time. I want to see how Cutter Gauthier holds up when we go find him. That's right. Come on out. allphly.com/events. We're going to the Ducks game. We're going to the Kings game. We're having a watch party for the Sharks game. And John LeClaire is coming. No one throws a better trip than Philly Sports Trips. allphly.com/events. Book it now. All right, Chuck. What do we got? Like 13 minutes. I'm sure there's a bunch of super chats. So let's hit 3 stars. It is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Good luck. Who the hell is star number 3?
All right. Yeah, this wasn't easy. Star number 3, I'm giving it to Tyson Foerster, who nearly scored a goal, except he put it off the back of a guy who was unsuspecting and really didn't even see it. But he did have 6 shot attempts. He did some things. I thought, Konecny was frustrating in this game, but one of the reasons why he was as frustrating as he was is because that line was actually in the offensive zone a lot. It was the Foerster, Cates, Konecny line. Foerster, by being in the offensive zone, had a lot of shot attempts, had a lot of chances. Didn't finish on any of them, but in a game like this, sure. 3rd star, why not?
Who is star number 2?
Star number 2 is Sam Ersson. Ersson, solid performance all around, I would say, despite the fact that he gets the loss, despite the fact that his save percentage isn't great. I thought he was the best Flyers player on the ice.
Sure.
Not a great situation given the fact that there were only 17 shots, so his numbers aren't going to look great. But look at the advanced metrics. He stopped more than expected. Sure. 2nd star. I think you put it the best earlier in the show, Bill, when you said that if he keeps playing at this level, eventually the numbers, as the sample gets larger, the numbers will catch up and not look as ugly, because this was perfectly fine quality play from a backup. It wasn't the kind of play where by the end of the year you're going to look up and he's got a .920 save percentage, but it was the kind of play where at the end of the year you're going to look up and he's at .895 and you're going to be like, yeah, it's fine for a backup. In this game, that's enough for 2nd star.
All right, and I have no idea who could possibly be left, quite honestly. Who is star number 1?
Star number 1, it's you for
you.
watching that entire game. Any of you that watched all
sickos.
60 minutes of that debacle, that eyesore of a hockey game, you are the 1st star.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And if you want to celebrate being 1st star of the game, because many of you diehards, not just diehard Flyers fans, but diehard PHLY members. And if you're one of those people who subscribe to read all Charlie's premium content and the rest of our all-star roster's work, right now is the time for you over at allphly.com under the merch tab. We have a great deal going, but it is only for our VIPs, only for our diehard subscribers. Black Friday starts right now. It starts Monday. You get early access to the Black Friday sale. All you got to do is, I think we have a link in the description of the show. You can check it out there. There's also a tweet going around. Make sure you get your diehard deal. Black Friday starts right now. Get in. And if you're not a diehard, listen, you can sign up. You can do it right now. Sign up. Get all the merch you want before we sell out, because we got a lot of good stuff, and we're filming some fun stuff that's gonna help sell it out. So get in right now. You can join and become a diehard by scanning that QR code on your screen. All right, let's hit those super chats. Don't think we have as many as the 30 we had the other night. They just kept coming, Charlie.
That was wild.
It was straight up. It was insane. It was, hey, now you're an all-star.
Beautiful.
All right, first one here from the OGJH. Oh no, we suck again. Hashtag Ersson Pearson.
Always down for a good Waterboy reference.
Of course, yes.
Yep.
What is the? Oh no, it's the. Yeah, it's different in Major League. That is the Waterboy reference. All right, I gotta say something here. From MBM Allah. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm sorry. If I tell you we had a chance to get Rick Tocchet, it means I'm about to suck all the fun out of everything you love.
I do wonder if that quote from Danny Briere is going to become like a meme at some point. Like if the Tocchet era doesn't go well, that like, well, when you have a chance to get Rick Tocchet quote, like, yeah, people are going to get a lot of runway out of that one.
Here's what I will say. You and I were talking about this. I don't even think it was in pregame. I think it was like before the show or something. The Vancouver Canucks are like one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, that's true.
They have, I believe, the most goals against in the entire NHL. There looks to be another. Edmonton's actually giving up more. Maybe it's goals per game. The Vancouver Canucks absolutely suck.
It's real bad in Vancouver. Right now.
They were better with Rick Tocchet. I don't know if that actually means anything, because it's not like they were good last year, but it's going poorly. And I don't know, they were all right when he was there. They had one really good season. We can talk about PDO all we want. Yes, absolutely. You get, .930 goaltending. You shoot 12%. You're probably going to have a good year. But, like, it happened. Yeah. He did it. And now they're very bad. So
yeah, looking at their advanced metrics, the Canucks, according to evolvinghockey.com, have a 42.8% expected goals percentage at 5-on-5 through 23 games. That is second worst in the league. Only the Seattle Kraken are worse. Yeah, they were a better soundness team with Rick Tocchet running the show.
They didn't flat out suck, which is what they do now. Yeah. I don't know if it means he's a good coach or not. It's been 21 games.
It might just mean that Adam Foote's a really bad coach.
It very well could, Charlie. He's not. He really hates smoking cigarettes and eating cashews in your basement in Russia. I guess.
He thinks that scoring chances on like public sites are not generated in Russia.
I bet you he's one of these guys who's like, yeah, puck off the post isn't a scoring chance. I hear those people exist.
Really?
Like, no, they didn't have a chance. Like if it's not a shot on goal, it's not a chance.
I gotcha.
Those people exist. All right. Sure. Let's see. Next one here is Keegan6839. Konecny couldn't even score on our own.
Wait, was he the guy who put it back? Was that him?
I was wrapping up the instant reactions, and I just heard JJ be like, "Oh, almost an own goal," and I heard you gasp, and I didn't actually.
I honestly didn't realize
who
that
played
was
it back.
It might have been Konecny. I don't know.
Thank God.
That would have been rough.
I don't want to live in that world. Yeah. If we're just ripping Konecny tonight, like I'll criticize him. I don't like the season he's had, but I don't want to live in that world where he's scoring on his own net.
That would have been rough if that was him.
All right, who do we have next here? It is our friend R. Park. Would like to see Michkov and Grebs on a line. Take the risk. Who to center? This is something I wanted to bring up when I brought up the Coots-Michkov pair. Mm-hmm. I know he's our shutdown guy. I gotta see him with Cates. I just do. I gotta see Michkov with Cates. They have to figure out a way to get him more time in the offensive zone and a guy who isn't somewhat immobile sometimes.
I mean, at some point you'd like to think they'll give it a look. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Michkov and Gurbankin did show chemistry in preseason.
They had chemistry in preseason, yeah.
I wouldn't hate it. I just think it's probably a tandem that you're not going to see unless injuries strike.
Rick Tocchet doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you just know it. Even though they did look good together in preseason.
Because he can't get Gurbankin in the top 9, and by can't, I mean won't.
Won't, yeah.
So maybe if like 2 or 3 top 9 forwards get injured and Gurbankin has to play in the top 9 because he's there and you got to put somebody there, maybe at some point you see a Michkov, Gurbankin, and then somebody in the middle, whether it's Dvorak or whether it's Couturier or Cates or even Trevor Zegras. You never know. I would like to see a 2-part.
Though I don't know if they would go Zegras, Michkov, Gurbenkin. I just feel like that's like
Didn't they do that briefly
Rick
in one
Tocchet,
game and people lost their minds?
Yeah,
It's like, oh my God, he's doing it. He's doing
Rick
it.
Tocchet buys a toupee in order to rip his hair out. There is that way to do it without injuries, Charlie. That way is make Dvorak the 4C, which they do need one of those. All right, DA Flyers, man. I'll never forgive Vasilevskiy for how he spells his name. Why is the second I? What is the second I for? What, I ask? It's very frustrating.
I mean, I've trained myself at this point to write it. Like, I know it's there. But for the beginning of his career, every time I spelled it wrong.
It is very much one of those, like, now I almost look forward to getting it right. But, like, it is annoying. That shouldn't be there. Why?
in Russian, I guess it isn't annoying.
This is America.
Oh, my God.
We don't call Germany Deutschland. Like, it's all different once we start speaking English. I'm just saying. Anyway. Yes. I know I am what I am. Okay, all right. I know. It's not always right. All right. Next one here is from, is that Julian Yeager? Sure. Do you guys think the Briere and Jones know what they are doing with this rebuild? I, for one, do not.
They definitely know what they're doing with this rebuild.
I mean, I just think people don't like the answer.
Yeah.
People don't like the answer. They have a plan.
They do.
They've told us this plan time and time again. People just do not like the answer.
They've actually been extremely forthright in explaining their plan. People just don't like the plan. But they know what they're doing. Now, are they going to be able to execute it successfully? I don't know. They might not be able to. But they know exactly what they're doing. They have a plan. They're sticking to it. You just might not like the plan.
Yeah, you just don't like it. I understand, because I get this question all the time. And I've started to tell people on Twitter specifically, I'm not answering your questions. Watch my show or Venmo me $100. All right.
I love it.
All right.
Let me know if you get a Venmo of $100.
I will.
That'd be great.
From Righteous Reprogramming, with TK, potential system change, also Torts' pet. It didn't start out that way. He did come to kind of exemplify the way Torts wanted them to play.
That is fair, I guess. The transition offense. He then used him on the penalty kill. Was the first coach who did that. So I don't love the characterization of him as Torts' pet. Like, if anything, I think he was probably more of a Noah Cates fan than a Travis Konecny fan. Yeah. And Torts had to, at times, and he told us this, he's like, at times I just have to remind myself that, like, well, I just got to let Travis Konecny make mistakes because he's ultimately going to do more good things than bad things, and I just have to bite my tongue when I'm, like, losing my mind thinking, why did he do that thing? Whereas, like, Noah Cates was actually the guy who Torts thought was perfect and was untouchable.
Yeah, that's the, like TK was always good. It's just like he went to the next level. Yeah. And we didn't, he started out, he was missing games at the beginning of last year, Cates was for Jet Luchenko, Like, I think it's a little different. I don't know about pet, but yeah, I do think the system change is different.
I agree.
All right. This one is our park again. Andrei plays.
We don't win every time.
Yeah, and listen, a lot of it was attributable to Andrei. So at least he was noticeable for you, our park. At least you could go, well, they didn't win, but he had his say.
He was involved.
Yeah. All right. And this last one here is JH closes it out. Brenna appreciation.
Yeah, that's
Super
right.
chat.
That's
we always love the Brenna appreciation here on PHLY Flyers Postgame. And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. Follow the podcast. Make sure you check out the Black Friday sale. Go to allphly.com. Click that merch tab. It's live right now for diehards only. All right, that is it. I am Bill Matz. That is Charlie O'Connor. Thank you very much to Brenna. Till tomorrow, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.